Hello everybody, I'm your host JC, and I'm back again with another OC redesign video. And if you haven't already, I would advise you watch my first redesign video, so you can get a bit of context to some of the characters I'll be mentioning. But before I begin, I would like to give a special thanks to these two. Thank you truly for commenting on my last video. They were just so encouraging, and without them, I probably wouldn't be here making a part 2 to this. But without further ado, let's get into the video. The first character I will be redesigning is a character that gets his powers similar to the Ninja Turtles, but acts more like the lizard from Spider-Man. Meet Ratman, a beast that sleeps by day and hunts by night. Originally, how the story went is that there was a man named Mark, and Mark was your everyday average person. He had a small apartment and a job that pays him just enough so he can pay off rent. And he's got books as entertainment. But one night, when Mark was just sitting down on his chair and reading, Mecha would dump some green sludge onto him, and he would turn into a giant rat. And that's it. That's the whole story I came up from. Yeah, as you can tell, his backstory lacks character complexion and it lacks any sort of depth. So, I changed his entire backstory to give his character a bit more complexity. For example, instead of him just being a normal person, instead, he would be a martial arts teacher, teaching the old and young about self-defense, like judo, karate, etc. I also changed his name to Derek. Don't ask me why I did that, because I don't even know. Now, of course, Derek knowing so much about the martial arts, it would kinda give him a reputation in the community, and most people who visited his dojo would enjoy his teaching of the martial arts. Many would praise him and others would hate. Overall, he enjoyed his job and all his accomplishments. Even behind the scenes, he was a good person, always trying to help people out and put a smile on their faces. But sadly, one night, when Derek was cleaning up the dojo for the day, he heard a huge explosion coming from the utility closet. Before he could even check, Mecha came flying through the door. Derek would soon find himself in between a fight with Mecha and Blue Justice. Derek was soon swept off his feet and dragged along the floor by one of Mecha's minions. Mecha, trying to escape Blue Justice, injected a serum into Derek's arm, turning Derek into Ratman, a feral beast that rampages the city all night long. Now, later in the story, Blue Justice would eventually help Derek gain consciousness in his new body, and Derek from then on would help Blue Justice fight crime and protect the people from evil. But overall, I'm very happy with how he turned out, and he looks pretty good. I'm glad I was able to give him a new kind of story, making it seem fresh, but also paying homage to the original. But before we move on to the next character, there is one thing I want to show you guys. If you paid really close attention to my last video, then you would have seen underneath the character's backstory that there's a little chart. Introducing the evil meter. Goes to show how evil the villain is on a scale of not so evil to pretty evil. Sadly, while I was making my last video, I didn't notice this little detail, so I came to implement it into this one. As for Ratman, I'll be ranking him into the green section, which is not so evil. As for Mecha, I will be ranking him into the red section, which is for the really dangerous villains. Now, without further ado, let's move on to the final character I'll be redesigning in this video. Now, last but not least, there's Red Justice, a misguided child who doesn't believe in second chances. The original story was that Red Justice was a huge fan of Blue Justice, and he decided to become a superhero and help Blue Justice fight off crime. But as one day Blue Justice and Red were fighting off some robbers, Red Justice would kind of get out of hand and almost kill one of them. Therefore, Blue Justice would kind of get mad at him, and so apparently Red Justice would turn evil. And that's Red Justice, a villain with no real solid motive to actually becoming one in the first place. But if you consider getting sculpted to be a good villain arc, then be my guest. Now, as for the original story, I am going to stay faithful to it, but also changing a bit of the story as well. But without further ado, let's get into the story of Red Justice. William was a mega fan of Blue Justice and wanted to be just like him. And since he was the smartest kid in his school, he decided to create his own supersuit and become a hero just like his idol. Blue Justice would one day see on the local news that a superhero dressed like him was stopping crime. His curiosity piqued. He thought maybe they could stop crime together. After all, New York is a big place. So he went to find this mysterious person copying him. Blue Justice would soon find the copycat fighting some thugs in an alleyway. Blue Justice would sit and watch as the copycat fought off the thugs. He was impressed with his skills, and at the end of the fight, he tried to recruit him into the team, knowing full well that he can't protect New York on his own. William, being the mega fan that he was, accepted his offer without hesitation. He was filled with joy knowing his superhero asked him to be a part of a team. One night, as both Blue Justice and William were stopping some crime, William would get out of hand, almost beating one of the robbers to death. Blue Justice was able to stop him from killing him in time. And Blue Justice wasn't so happy. He would scold William about his recklessness in that situation. And inevitably, William would tell Blue Justice that all villains are the same, and all deserve the same punishment. Blue Justice would ultimately tell William that killing wasn't a part of the job. And William, being furious that his hero wanted to spare the lives of evil, decided to go home and leave the team. While at his house, William would find a mysterious person standing in his kitchen. The person would reveal himself to be a mega tech agent. The agent would offer William a deal. William would have to make dangerous robotic experiments for them, and in exchange, they will help him with the supplies to continue making the enhancements to his supersuit. William, knowing the shady practices of the company, would reluctantly agree to their deal, only because he needed the parts for his suit. And William would become Red Justice from then on. William's new design is kind of the same as his old one, just with some small differences, like I added a shoulder piece for protection purposes, a new belt with a gun holster for some reason, and I gave him knee pads, just to show he's still a kid in need of proper training. Overall, I'm happy with how he turned out and can't wait to use him in future projects. I will be putting William on the yellow meter because he's mildly dangerous, but at the same time, he's not as dangerous as Mecha is. Now, I thank you guys very much for making it to the end of the video, and I would ask if you could like the video and subscribe to my channel for future videos. And if you haven't already, I would advise you to watch my first Blue Justice redesign video, so you can get more context into this one, just for some of the characters, and especially for that mecha tech company. But without further ado, thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.